Should I say good morning to everyone?
You should.
Hey, say good morning to everyone.
Okay. My producer, Johanna, informs me that I need to greet everyone and say good morning. It's 8:15 on Monday morning. This is when we do the sermon recap. I am...
Oh, I thought we were doing unison. Oh, boy.
It's been a great morning so far. Johanna and I are woefully undercaffeinated right now, yet we're still going through with this. Why, you ask? Are we doing this in general? Well, what am I talking about?
Why are we? It's an excellent question. Please put some answers in the comments.
Thankfully, we're not live yet. Oh, we are? Okay, great.
We're being consistent, and although neither of us preached yesterday, we love to maybe just kind of recap for people who weren't here or further discussion. We also have some very pressing matters with the bracket.
The NCAA tournament is going on.
Yes.
Yeah, so Pastor Mac is actually traveling back from his Euro trip. He was in Greece, and he's on his way back. Pastor Barry was with him. Pastor Barry was actually our videographer for the sermon yesterday. That sermon's already on YouTube. We're going to talk about it a little bit more later. I'm Kirkwood Bullis. Am I the host today?
I'm Johanna Horstman.
Am I the host? We're both hosts of separate podcasts.
By sitting me over here. I don't know what to do with myself.
We didn't know which side to sit on because both of us host separate podcasts, but now we're together, which I thought was going to be a good thing, but so far it's been
a total disaster.
A total disaster. Well, let's move. So Johanna, one of the things that I appreciate about what you do when you do your podcast with Pastor Josh is that you always bring so many fun things to the table. So I texted you about this. I said, what fun things are you going to bring to this table today? And so I know that you have several segments worked out. So you be the host for a second, and I'm whatever.
Yeah, let me just brag for a minute, too, because you texted me, it was about 9 p.m. Right. I'm not going to lie. I had just gotten in bed.
No, you hadn't. I'm so jealous of you.
Did I not just tell you how long last week was? Last week was at least 4 months long. And how quickly did I respond to you, though?
It was maybe 5 minutes.
Like, I got it.
It was quick.
I got it.
It was quick.
Yes, very important for us to discuss, first of all, Brody, if you will. Please throw up the bracket.
Okay, yeah, this is our office bracket. Our tournament challenge.
I mean,
Nate Singh is winning.
I think mainly what we need to point out is JoJo don't know no. That's me, because the name says it all. If you saw the randomness with which I filled out my bracket, you'd probably cry a little bit. Is it 4? And then Coach K's final run, Kirkwood. Where are you?
I am in spot number 6.
Wow.
Isn't
that interesting?
Well, I should say that I'm a mere 10 points behind you. It's pretty close. We're running right now. I've got 4.
Look at that percentage, though. Like 86.5, 91.6.
Yeah, so Joanna's 5. What does this mean? Is this like the percentile of all the brackets out there?
Not even on there.
Or something like that?
Did you not get an invite?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
He just didn't want to do it.
Oh, Pike.
So
that
we could
stop
scroll
you from
to
participating.
We got to pour one out for Miss Jamie because she is very, very perhaps faithful to a fault of her Baylor Bears, and they were defeated.
Baylor Bears. That brings me to the next segment.
Oh,
no, actually, that'll be be the one after this. I told you I had a proposal based on the 8 basketball games.
But that's just weird. So this is funny to me because Johanna, you like sports just fine, you would say, but you're not a big sports fan. So I was really surprised when you came in and told me that you've watched 8 basketball games.
I will. So sports, they're fun to watch, especially if it's a good game.
Right.
I never have allowed sports or will ever allow sports to affect me in any way beyond
talking on a
the
podcast
game.
About them.
But I'm just saying, I enjoy the game while it's there, but I'm never going to be upset or argue with people about
enviable.
Yeah, things like that.
But you have a suggestion
about
basketball.
But I have a suggestion for the NCAA, and I feel like maybe we should tag them in this because it's a valid suggestion.
You think they should pay the players? I totally agree with you.
Did not say that.
Oh, okay.
Can you see my notes?
No,
I kind of assume that you are as blind as I think you are, and you can't
I can't
cheat.
see.
Okay.
I can't see anything that's on that screen.
My proposal is that for the first half scores, they just draw random numbers, and just say this team has 28 and this team has 21 or whatever it is, and then they start the game.
Then they start
for the second half because it doesn't seem to matter what happens in the first half.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, this game looks like it's over, and they come back, and somebody will go on a 25-0
Somebody will be way
run.
ahead, or it'll be really close. They go to the locker rooms. I don't know what happens in there, but they come back out, and it's just like, then that's the actual basketball game.
Yeah. There's some Auburn fans that would use last night's game as evidence to the contrary.
There's 1 point at the half, right?
I can't remember.
I think it was 1 point.
It was a close game, but yeah, that was a disaster. I felt bad for all the Auburn fans out there. Brody, are you still an Auburn fan?
I'm still deciding.
He's still deciding if he's an Auburn fan. He was a Colts fan. Brody's had a rough year from a sports standpoint.
He has. Here, we'll just.
Let's
Brody
see.
is.
So this
he
is
sad today.
So this has become
the newest member of our team.
Yeah, as a mascot of sorts for our audience, or for our office. I don't really understand this, but Johanna got it at some kind of thrift store, and it's like her emotional meter.
It's just to give people a heads up.
That she's sad today.
Most of the time, well, I'm sad for Brody right now because he's had a bad sports year.
I feel
March.
happy. I feel happy today. I'm happy regardless. I'm not allowing Auburn's loss to affect me.
Okay.
I feel good.
Moving on. So I thought it would be fun because the other thing I've noticed is that mascots are really weird.
There's no question about that.
Right, especially college.
A lot of mascots have gotten canceled recently. There's all kinds of different offensive mascots.
They said, yes, I did see an article. It was like there's some new mascots this year, kind of based on that.
Are you about to do the list of the most offensive mascots that are out there?
Yes, you know me. No.
The most offensive ones that still remain.
I'm going to quiz you, and then I'm going to show you what I think is the scariest mascot.
Okay. Yes.
That picture I sent you, how scary is that?
Okay.
All right.
So that's to come.
Do you want to do like rapid fire to get through as many as we can?
Yeah, try me.
Should we set a timer?
Oh boy.
We're about 60 seconds. You ready?
There's so many of them that are similar. Okay.
I may say some of these wrong because I'm not sure if it's right, especially the first one. Gonzaga.
That's the Bulldogs.
Arkansas.
The Razorbacks.
Texas Tech.
The Red Raiders.
Duke.
The Blue Devils.
Arizona.
Wildcats.
Houston. This is impressive so far.
Cougars.
Yes, Michigan. That's a memorable one.
Oh, Wolverines.
No. Spartans?
No, Michigan State is the Spartans.
That's what I meant, Michigan State. So either way, you're wrong. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Villanova.
30 seconds. I don't. What are they? The Wildcats?
They
too?
are.
There's so many Wildcats.
North Carolina.
The Tar Heels, of course.
But they also have a big ram. It's one of those like roll tide elephant
like
things, right?
The Crimson Tide with the elephant.
UCLA.
The Bruins, I know
Which
that.
Which means that word actually means
bear,
bears. Okay.
I know this because I went to Belmont, and we had the Bruins.
Oh, okay.
And the first time that Belmont was ever in the tourney, they played UCLA, and it was the Bruins versus the Bruins.
Okay. We're going to give it another 30 seconds. Purdue. This is one of the stranger ones.
Oh, man. What is Purdue? I don't think that I know this.
Boilermakers.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't
And
have gotten
Purdue
that.
Pete is their big mascot.
The
St.
Boilermakers.
Peter's, which I did watch that game, right?
Yes,
They're kind of
I watched some of it, too, so I know that this is the Peacocks.
Right.
What a great mascot, the Peacocks.
Kansas.
The Jayhawks.
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
It's an interesting one. Do you know this one, Brody?
Is it a bird?
No. Is it a bird? There's a chance I got some of these wrong. I mean, I tried to do my research.
I don't know what Iowa State is.
Cyclones? Yes, and then Miami.
The
you should know,
Hurricanes,
right?
of course.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm going to show you. I already asked you if you knew what Providence was, and you said yes, it's the...
Oh, the Fighting Friars?
And if you haven't seen this... We should have put like maybe an alert, some sort of warning over this.
If you're not seeing this, it looks like the scariest Sesame Street character of all time. It just looks like I don't know. This looks like it came from the same era as Penn State's mascot. You know, where they made it. It's like when you look at Halloween costumes from kids from the 1920s, and you're like, that's the scariest thing I've ever seen. But at the time, it was like cute or something. That's how I feel about the Fighting Friars, which as a mascot, that totally slaps. I love that. Like, give me the Fighting Friars. Just like change the change whatever.
To something a little less terrifying, which
Yeah.
I guess you want terrifying if you're a sports team, but I would be really surprised if people said that children don't run from him when they see him at games.
Yeah, that is pretty scary. I mean, my kids couldn't even handle Chuck E. Cheese. It was like a really big deal. They were just scared to death the first time we went to Chuck E. Cheese. And the next time, I made a point of saying, like, when we get to Chuck E. Cheese, you all have to hug Chuck E. Cheese. I'm not going to let you guys be so afraid. So that was really
How'd
sweet.
that go?
'Cause it actually went pretty well.
Okay.
I think they were really hopped up on, nerds and pizza at that point. So
That's good.
Chuck E. Cheese, lots of fun. Although I tell you,
Sponsor us.
inflation has hit Chuck E. Cheese big time.
He gets hit pretty much everything.
If we went to, when did we go? I think we went over the Christmas holiday, and it was like double the price that it used to be. Of course, I have double the kids that I used to have, so that might have factored in as
There
well.
you go.
What else did we have? I'm sorry, I host Johanna.
Oh no, I've gone through all my material.
Oh, that's everything?
That's it.
I thought I did pretty good on the mascots.
You actually did very
pretty
surprisingly well.
encouraged.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't have doubted you, but for me, most of that was new information. So.
Well, with a lot of these mascots, as long as you pick like a lion, a tiger, or a bear, you're going to be in pretty safe territory.
That's true.
The Red Raiders, that's one of my new favorites. The Red Raiders and the Peacocks. That's good. Well, I thought before we got into the, you wanted to talk a little bit about our Easter campaign, right? Before we get into the text.
I do. It's nice to have you
Here
at
it
Valley
is.
Dale. You'll notice that it is the mural that we have right inside the main entrance. A lot of people like to take their pictures in front of that when they visit. We want to encourage you to do that. It's a great way to invite people. Post that on your social media. And we also have these handy dandy little invite cards. They have information about Good Friday.
Well, that one went a long way.
We have plenty, so yeah, just keep.
I'm continuing, yeah.
But they have information about Good Friday service, which you may want
Right.
to talk a little bit more about that. April 15th.
Yeah, that's coming up. I'm not sure. Did you put out the invite for that yet? All right,
Yeah.
so it's already in the email and it's on at valleydale.org/events. The Good Friday service. If you were there last year, it's going to be pretty similar. If you don't know about it, we're all going to be in the worship center around round tables. We're going to eat a meal together, and at the end we'll take communion, just like they did in the early church times when people would eat and then take communion. We'll have a short service in there. Pastor will kind of contextualize communion a little bit, and we'll sing some Good Friday songs. And I always love doing the Good Friday service. I feel like just in my spirit, it sets me up for Easter.
Agreed.
So that's coming up. Anything else people need to know about?
Easter, we can't say it enough. The schedule looks a little different just to make you guys aware, and so you can make anyone that you're inviting aware. We'll have services at 9 and 11, and we will
Right.
have breakfast in the lobby. There's no
Right.
RSVP needed for those services or breakfast. Really, really great day to invite someone new to join you at Valley Dale.
Yeah, for sure. A family member. We have a lot of people that invite family members too. We've got non-believing family members that come, that sort of thing. So it's a good day for that.
Right.
The food is good. Music, preaching, it's all good. We're gonna have baptisms. I'm excited. We're gonna have
Nice. I
baptisms
didn't know that.
day. Yep, coming up on Easter. There's something else I was gonna say, but it's already slipped my mind. Thank you for being so on top of it with the communications.
Hey, I just try to keep people informed.
Any update you want to give the people about what's going on at Old Town? I know that's you guys are blowing and going. You've got a ton of new people coming. What else? do you want
Yeah,
to say
so
about it?
I mean, new people joining every month when we have a membership class.
Yeah.
There's just a real general sense of excitement about the renovations that are being done. Those are, like Pastor Mac and Pastor Jeff knew to begin with, drawing a lot of attention to that very busy corner in Helena.
Well, right,
People
yeah.
driving by, seeing that renovations are going on, asking what's going on, who's meeting there, all that type of stuff. But yeah, attendance is great. I guess just the sense of family that is
Yeah.
starting to form around the congregation is really exciting to see.
Yeah.
And we have a big opportunity coming up on April 9th. We are co-sponsoring the annual City of Helena Egg Hunt,
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about
which
that.
we put out a Facebook event for that, I think about 9-10 days ago, and the response has been incredible. So a lot of people expected at that, which means we need a lot of candy and a lot of eggs. So
Real talk.
we're soliciting that from our congregation. And honestly, anyone that would like to contribute candy and eggs, we would certainly take them. But we're having a good time over there. I miss being at Valleydale every Sunday. I do.
I know.
I miss seeing everyone.
We miss having you.
Miss worshiping with you guys, but I'm enjoying my time over there.
You're doing awesome work being the worship leader over there, though, and I know they really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it.
Well, let's give a little bit of attention to Pastor's sermon yesterday. Big props to Brody for putting that together. Props to Pastor Barry, our burgeoning videographer on staff.
So, right, throw that picture up really quick. Did he hold the camera the whole time?
I think it was Miss Debbie. She held it the entire time.
Wow. Then why is Barry there holding the... This is like the Zapruder film.
Oh, maybe it was...
Was there a second shooter?
Yeah. I think she's taking the shot, right? The still shot. But no tripod. Very admirable. I know for sure that my arms would be noodles if I had to hold a phone up for... I didn't see how long it was exactly. Was it a 35, 40 minutes-ish?
32 minutes.
A little bit shorter.
There were a lot of fun notes from that message. If Pastor were here, one of the things I would ask him would be about the Bema seat, because they showed a picture that basically looked like a pile of rocks, and I would really want him to point out exactly where the Bema seat actually is there. But I tell you, the other picture, you don't have that picture there of the jail that they had, do you? It might be worth talking about that, because that factored into the message. But one thing, so near the end of the message, and sadly it's really poorly timed, but somebody is like flying a drone, and you can hear a drone go over top, and I texted Brody and said, wow, that drone was really poorly timed, and Brody texted me back, yeah, I put that in. I wanted people to feel like they were watching drone footage.
Well, hey, you guys, I know there was a little bit of challenge with the sound, but I thought it turned out really well when I was watching it at home, and you could hear everything that was being said. Yeah. Have you been to that area part of the world?
I wish.
I was trying to remember if you had or not.
I've never been to Greece.
So I went to Israel in 2014, and I remember a lot about the trip. It's amazing. You should definitely go if you ever have the opportunity to do so. It really is. So this is the jail?
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a second.
But it really is incredible to see these things that you've been reading about and hearing about all of your life. But one of the things I was concerned about with shooting the sermon was one of my most memorable things from my trip over there is that it was so windy.
Yeah.
It was like the same time of year, and everywhere we went, you were trying to hear people, give a devotion or read a passage from the Bible, and the wind was just swirling around you everywhere. So I was relieved that it looked like it was cold, but it didn't look like it was crazy windy.
Well, the mic that Pastor was using is also a pretty good wind canceling mic. The gain settings were a little bit off though, but fortunately we were able to fix that in post. So, Pastor, thank you for recording that message. If you're watching this, and we're gonna see Pastor back in the pulpit this Sunday. He's preaching from John chapter 17. He texted me this morning that he's going to spend 2 Sundays on the high priestly prayer of Jesus Christ. And sorry, Pastor, if I shouldn't have said that publicly, because as always, you reserve the right to change these things if you desire. Not changing the word, of course, but changing the subject matter of your message. Acts chapter 16, couple of notes that I thought were interesting. I'm going to hit you with a couple of things, and if you want to hit me with a couple of things, then we can talk through them. We're obviously the authority on these on this message. We're
here to just correct any errors that we've
fully fact-checked the message, and now we're ready to let the shelling begin here.
Right.
One thing that really struck me, just from a historical standpoint, was when he talked about how the jail that Paul and Silas were staying in, it was not a place where people would go for a long time.
Right.
In our culture today, we have this whole thing, well, if you're going to jail, you have a prison sentence of 5, 10 years, something like that. These places were not built like that. It was basically just a place where you'd be held until they decided to let you go or to kill you. And as such, the conditions were even worse. Like it was basically a hole in the ground.
Right.
I thought that was really interesting. And he talked about the stocks, like how they wouldn't let you stand comfortably, like they would make you basically do the splits in the stocks, and then of course you'd just been whipped. And how I was just amazed how, in spite of all that, Paul and Silas were singing praises to the Lord in the middle of the night. That was really affecting.
I mean, that was one of the notes I made, and I said obviously as worship leaders that may impact us in a different way, but I've heard that story my whole life, but I've also lived a lot of life since I heard that, as in elementary school and Sunday school. And I was telling you earlier, we've been through some things the past few weeks that have made my mind a battlefield. And just this past Thursday and Friday at home, I would find myself in the middle of praying, just start singing. One of the songs I kept singing was "I Speak Jesus."
Yes.
That you guys have been singing here. We've been singing in Old Town as well, and the goodness of God, and just singing those things out loud to remind my soul that He is a good God, and He cares so much about us, and He has the authority. We have the victory in Him.
And the fact that they knew that at the time, in spite of obviously we go through mental difficulties all the time. They were going through some really intense physical difficulties as well, and that they were still singing praises. I like the way that Pastor put that. Remember to check out the message on YouTube. It's already there if you haven't heard it yet. So I think that was that the main thing that I had? What else did you have? I forgot my other note temporarily.
So he was talking about the road that they showed a picture of, which you don't have to pull that up, Brody, but and I can't remember the name of it. Do you remember the Ignatius?
Yeah, the Ignatian Way.
Okay. But just the point that he made, that as Paul was walking down that road, God knew that road would have been in place at that point for him to take that path to where he was going to share the gospel. And good reminder about just trusting God's timing, and that while we may see obstacle after obstacle or just general uncertainty, the way has been prepared. We'll just keep making references to songs since it's two
I know.
worship
Waymaker.
leaders.
Wow,
he is a
waymaker.
And even when we don't see that there is a way in front of us, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is, he's already been there. Like, he has already prepared the way, the path that he is taking us down.
Well, yeah, in this passage, quite literally. From a historical standpoint, I thought it was interesting that God never allowed the Israelites to build an empire like Rome. Mm-hmm. God never allowed His chosen people to build roads that went, just thousands of miles, which boggles the mind that they were able to lay that much stone, that sort of thing, with by hand. And so God didn't allow His chosen people to do that, and yet God allowed it to happen. This pagan nation, and God through them put all that in place, and then that was the context that Christ came into, and that was when the fullness of time had come, so to speak, for the gospel to go forward. Yeah, it's another good word about even in the worst of times, we shouldn't expect that the gospel won't be able to get a foothold in culture.
Right.
That's a word to me today, because sometimes it just feels hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you got?
So he reiterated something in the sermon yesterday that we've talked about a lot at the church at Old Town in the last sermon series we did, which is that Christians should never be surprised by the obstacles and challenges that come our way.
Right.
And I think it's another one of those things that we've heard. It's easier said than done when you're in the circumstance. I know for a lot of my life, I know I'm a rule follower, and so a lot of what I learned was, if you follow rules, then the consequences are good. Like, things work out in your favor, right? Because the kids who didn't follow the rules in class, their consequences were not good. Well, life can throw different things at you, regardless of what you're doing or not doing. And but we shouldn't be surprised by that. The Scripture very clearly tells us, if you choose to follow Christ, there will be difficulties in your path. The difference between us and the world is we have the hope of Jesus Christ as we face those.
Right, we know how to respond to those things. You were even talking about just everything that you've been going through with your family recently, and how the truth of the gospel is ministered to you. I think about that all the time. I just don't know how people go through life, or think they can go through life, without Christ. That's been useful even with just some of our friends and neighbors, to when they go through hardships, no matter what I'm going through, if I see them going through a hardship, it's like, well, let me try to offer this to you again, because it's the only thing that ministers to me when I'm going through something that's this tough. The last thing I think I would say, because I finally remembered my other note, was just this idea that when the jailer is when he despairs of life itself, and when he goes to kill himself, that he was acting like that wasn't an act of cowardice.
Right.
That was an act of him.
It's like a Harry Carey almost, right? Isn't that what they call it in the
that's
Japanese culture?
That's the name of the announcer for the Chicago Cubs,
Harry
who
Carey.
sadly passed away. Harakiri is what you're thinking of. I'm happy to help you with that.
Like I said, I'm just here to
Right.
correct errors that I see and hear.
Holy cow!
And now I'm thinking about Hare Krishna.
Oh
This
my!
is bad. This is bad. What is it again? That I mispronounced?
Harakiri.
Harakiri. Harry Carey. I do know. I remember that guy's voice.
God rest his soul.
How amazing
I
is
know.
that?
Yeah, well, he was the one that, him drunkenly singing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" is a fabulous video on YouTube. You guys should check that out. And of course, he was famously impersonated on SNL. But Harakiri, yes, you're exactly right.
Harakiri.
It's a very Eastern sort of like a romanticized death. It's like you're in control of your own death. You choose to die honorably,
Right.
as opposed, as opposed to someone else taking your life. So I thought that gave me more respect for the jailer. Like, clearly he was seeking out righteousness as much as he could. Mm-hmm. He was seeking to protect his family. He was seeking to serve his country. He was seeking to do his job well. So it almost makes sense when that he is converted then. Like he's seeking after some kind of righteousness, and Paul is saying, well, it's really found in Christ, and he believed that very day.
Well, and it actually kind of brought tears to my eyes hearing that part of the story where Paul knew that might be his response,
Right.
and said, no, wait, like we're still here, it's okay. And I just think that's a really cool part of the story, because he could have just seen like, okay, no, God's just making us way for you to get out of here, but he saw him.
I'm so impressed. The more I study the scripture, the New Testament, the more I'm impressed by Paul and just the mastery he had over every different cultural situation. Like, obviously he wasn't in control of everything, but he always understood like the motivations for what people around him were doing. The jailer is a great example. Even later on, when he like stands trial and like gives, and multiple times he has to give his account to the Christians. Then he also has to give his account of conversion to people in the Roman government, and every time it's like he contextualizes it well. He says elsewhere about himself, become all things to all people in order that I might save some. So love you, Brother Paul. Can't wait to meet you someday in glory.
Yeah, and that's why we do things like in the midweek, one of the tracks right now is world religions, because
Totally.
It's very helpful when you're talking to someone with different beliefs to understand what they believe.
Yeah, that's the one my wife is going to, is the world religions, and she said that it was really helpful. So I guess we can finish up with a plug there for midweek. For Wednesday nights, if you're on the fence about coming, please come, because Awana Clubs is still going strong for the kids. We've got choir if you want to join up there. I know there's a lot of new people joining the church. You guys send me an email or just come one Wednesday night to choir. We meet in the choir room. We'd be happy to have you join up there. And of course, there's the other classes as well. There's the one about racial reconciliation. I know Dr. Vance is teaching that one.
There's a Bible study, Patrick Sawyer.
Right, up on the third floor.
And then Financial Peace U, which may be
That's
the only
huge.
one that would be a little hard to join at this point. But the other three, I think you could join, start coming anytime.
But we'll do another rotation of the Financial Peace University. So hold tight if you still want to take that one. We'll get back to that one, I think, in the fall. Well, I'm going to wrap us up here. Thank you, Johanna, for hosting today and giving us some fun things to think about.
It was fun. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce Harakiri.
Harakiri. You got to be careful with that one. Don't want to offend.
Those two very different.
You don't want to. They're extremely different things. So for any Japanese people that we offended, we're sorry.
That's on
and
me.
for any Chicago Cubs fans that we offended, which is probably more likely, we're very, very sorry. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you later.
You can still do the kick.
I can still do the kick.
Yes.
Can I drop kick Mojo?
Yes.